So let's fetch ingredients asynchronously. I'll do that in the Burger Builder file in the Actions folder, where we have our action creators. I'll add a new action creator, so I'll export a new const, and I'll name it fetch ingredients, or maybe better name init ingredients, because we want to do this initially to load the ingredients we can use in the Burger Builder. I don't expect any arguments on this function, and I want to, of course, return an action ultimately. Though to be precise, I want to return a function here where I receive the dispatch function, which I then can use in this function body. And this is available, this syntax, due to Redux Func, which allows me to use my action creators like this. Now in here, I can execute async code and dispatch a new action whenever I'm done. So I actually need a second action creator, which I'll export to, though theoretically I only use it internally in this file. I'll name this action creator set ingredients. Here I expect to get ingredients as an argument, and here I will just return an action I want to dispatch. Now for that, I need an action type. So let's head over to action types and let's add a new action type here. I'll name it set underscore ingredients, and as often or as always, I'll use this as the string identifier too. So set ingredients, that is the identifier I'll listen to in my reducer later. And with that added, I can go back to the Burger Builder action file. And in the set ingredients action creator, I want to return an object where the type is action types set ingredients, just like that. And of course, I'll need to pass a payload. I'll name the property ingredients, and that name is totally up to you. The value is not. The value should be our function argument, which here is also named ingredients, this one. With that, we got the synchronous action creator. That is the action I eventually want to dispatch once the async code in init ingredients is done. Let's head over to the Burger Builder container to fetch the async code we want to execute. This thing here. So I'll just cut it out of the component mount function there, and I'll put it into my Burger Builder file in the actions folder. Here, I want to reach out to Axios, and for that, I of course need to be able to access Axios. Now in the Burger Builder component, we imported Axios from Axios orders. We don't need that anymore in the Burger Builder, so I can cut it from there, and also move that import to the Burger Builder action file. There, I need to reach out to Axios orders. I need to check if my path is correct. It actually is, so that's all right. And now we can reach out to Axios in this file too. Here, the path to Firebase should still be correct. But then, of course, when we get the response, I won't call this set state, and I won't do it for getting an error. Instead, here, I want to dispatch my set ingredients action creator. So here, I'll execute this as a function. And of course, I will dispatch response data here. On an Axios response, the data property holds the data, which will be the JavaScript object we want to use. Now, when an error occurs, we probably also want to handle that. In the Burger Builder container, we have that error state, we have the loading state, and all these things were used here. So I can get rid of error and loading in my Burger Builder now, because I won't manage these state fields here in that file anymore. Now, loading was only used to show a spinner in the order summary in case we're still loading. This, however, shouldn't be required here anymore because we're not doing anything asynchronous when viewing the modal, when viewing the order summary, therefore. What is important, though, is the order. Here, we set our burger equal to ingredients can't be loaded if we have an error, and to a spinner if we don't. And we actually set it to our real Burger Builder if props have been loaded. So we definitely need to set this error, though not on a state anymore. We want to pass it with props. So for that, I need to handle this error as part of my Redux state. For that, I'll go to my Burger Builder reducer, and here, I'll first of all set ingredients to null initially, because now we're fetching them from the web again, and they should be null until they were fetched. That is also required to make sure that this check here in the burger builder fails if we don't have ingredients yet, so that we do display the spinner instead. But I also need to add a new state to my burger builder state. I'll name it error. And here I'll set this to false initially. I want to set it to true though if our loading does fail. With that added, we need one more action though. Back to the burger builder file in the actions folder. We dispatch an action if we got ingredients. That's great. But we also need to dispatch an action if that fails, so that we can adjust our error state in the Redux state. So I'll add a new action type and I'll name it fetch ingredients failed and use the same name as the string identifier as always. And then I'll add an action creator here. We not only have set ingredients, I also want to have fetch ingredients failed here. I won't get an error message, so I don't need to accept any argument. I just want to return a JavaScript object here where the type is action types and then fetch ingredients failed, like this. And this is the action I actually want to dispatch when it fails. So I'll dispatch something in the error case too. I'll dispatch fetch ingredients failed and don't pass any arguments. So with that, I'm handling both cases. And now, of course, we need to handle these new actions in the reducer and also make sure that we connect our burger builder here correctly to these new things, like, for example, the error state. And one thing I just noticed, we also still need Axios in the burger builder container for this with error handler higher order component. So I'll quickly grab that Axios import from the burger builder action file again and re-add it to the burger builder container. Now, one important note about that, we can still handle the errors with our higher order component here because we're using an Axios instance. So no matter if we do send a request from another place in the app, like our async action creator, we can still handle it with that same Axios instance, which we're passing to the higher order component to show our error modal, which of course is what we want to do still. We want to have this central error handling place. Now, with all that in place though, our application wouldn't work as expected because now we need to work on the reducer to handle these new action types we have for fetching ingredients. Right now, it's always spinning.